The writing of this book has been a very powerful experience. I haven't sat down and written the book all in one go. I began to write while I was sitting by the bedside of my 17-year-old son after he'd been taken off life support. I was devastated. They told me he would pass very quickly, but I sat with him for 11 hours. And as I sat there and stroked his hand, talked to him, and spent those precious last hours with him, there were so many powerful emotions flowing through me that I asked the nurse for some scraps of paper and I began to write. And while I was talking to Prem, I decided in that moment that I would write his story. The story of so many young people who are struggling with life, who have dabbled with alcohol and drugs and find themselves suddenly out of their depth. And then when they reach out for help, that help often fails them. So I began to write. In fact, I wrote virtually the first chapter while sitting beside him in that time. 11 hours later, my son was gone. I walked away from that strange hospital down a lonely corridor with my darling husband, and I fell in a heap for some time. I allowed grief into my life, which I think is just so important. We often run from pain and from grief, but I hope through my story I encourage you, if you're suffering from the loss of a loved one, to invite that grief in, to acknowledge your emotions and the depth of the feelings that arise when you're going through a period of bereavement. It's been 7 years this September since Prem passed, and my book is being birthed just before that. I nervously offer it to the world, and I hope that my words, my experience with grief, the sharing of both my feelings and the traumatic period of time my whole family went through after the death of Prem and my brother to suicide, that it may help others in some way.